Donald Trump's election victory is about to be made official. A winter storm is burying parts of the country in snow, and it turns out that tuna can taste like $1,000,000. That's some of what we'll get to on The 7 from The Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Monday, January 6th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Number 1. Congress is set to certify Trump's election win. On Capitol Hill today, a newly sworn-in Congress will meet in a joint session. Members will finalize Trump's victory ahead of his inauguration on January 20th. The process is largely ceremonial, but it's mandated by federal law. It will be overseen by Vice President Kamala Harris. That's because of her constitutional role as President of the Senate. Security is on high alert in Washington, D.C., but aside from a winter storm, it will probably be an uneventful day, unlike in 2021. That's when a mob of Trump supporters staged a deadly assault on the U.S. Capitol in an effort to overturn the results of the 2020 election. Some members of Congress also challenged the results. Since that day in 2021, about 1,580 people have been federally charged over the riot. Their fate could now depend on Trump. He has pledged to pardon many of them during his first hour in office. The U.S. Capitol Police Chief told the Post that he opposes pardons for assaults against police officers. Trump aides are preparing universal tariff plans. That's number 2. As a candidate, Trump called for universal tariffs of as high as 10 or 20% on everything imported into the U.S. Many economists warned that such plans could cause price shocks. 2 weeks before Trump takes office, his aides are still discussing plans to impose import duties on goods from every country. But rather than apply tariffs to all imports, current discussions center on imposing them only on certain sectors deemed critical to national or economic security. That shift would jettison a key aspect of Trump's campaign pledge. His initial plans would have been immediately noticeable in the price of food imports and cheap consumer electronics. This apparent change reflects that such an impact could prove politically unpopular and disruptive. Number 3 will come as no surprise to many of you. A wide-reaching winter storm is hitting from Kansas to Delaware. Since yesterday, this dangerous storm has brought snow, sleet, and freezing rain to millions of people across several states. It has disrupted travel, closed schools and local governments, and could lead to dicey commutes for workers this morning. Today, the worst of the weather will be over the MidAtlantic. 6 to 12 inches of snow could bury the region by tonight. By tomorrow morning, the storm will have pushed offshore, but it will leave behind frigid temperatures, low wind chills, and a deep snowpack in its wake. You can see a full forecast and live updates on this storm in our newsletter today. Find a link to that in our show notes. Number 4. The New Orleans attacker had previously surveyed the French Quarter with Meta smart glasses. Shamsuddin Jabbar killed at least 14 people early on New Year's Day when he drove into a crowd in the popular tourist hub. But back in October, the FBI says Jabbar had used Meta smart glasses to record video of the area. The images were among a trove of footage that federal authorities recovered showing the planning behind the attack. FBI Special Agent Lionel Murthel provided updates from the investigation yesterday.
From what we now know, Jabbar stayed at a rental home in New Orleans beginning October 30th, 2024. He was in town at least 2 days. During that time, Jabbar, using Meta glasses, recorded a video as he rode through the French Quarter on a bicycle.
The FBI said Jabbar wore the glasses again during his deadly rampage, but that he didn't use them to record footage of the attack. Jabbar died in a shootout with police. The FBI also revealed that Jabbar had bomb-making materials in his home. He also had a transmitter in his vehicle that was intended for bombs he had placed in coolers on Bourbon Street. Those explosives were neutralized before they could be set off. Amelia Perez and The Brutalist won big at the Golden Globes. That's our fifth story. Amelia Perez is a Spanish-language musical about a Mexican cartel boss who transitions to become a woman. It won 4 Globes last night in Hollywood. The Brutalist is a nearly 4-hour epic about a Jewish architect. That movie won 3 awards. In the TV categories, Shogun and Baby Reindeer racked up the awards. And throughout the night, there were a lot of references to the Wicked movie and speeches. But when it came to actual awards, the musical came up nearly empty-handed. Meanwhile, Demi Moore won her first major acting award for her role in The Substance. She spoke about what the honor meant to her.
In those moments when we don't think we're smart enough or pretty enough or skinny enough or successful enough or basically just not enough, I had a woman say to me, "Just know you will never be enough. But you can know the value of your worth if you just put down the measuring stick." And so today, I celebrate this as a marker of my wholeness and of the love that is driving me, and for the gift of doing something I love and being reminded that I do belong. Thank you so much.
For a full list of winners and the best red carpet looks, check out our newsletter today. The NFL playoff field is set. That's number 6. Last night, the Detroit Lions pounded the Minnesota Vikings 31-9. That earned them the NFC's top seed and a week off during the first round of the playoffs. The Lions are seeking to make their first Super Bowl appearance in franchise history. Over in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs are the top seed. The Chiefs are aiming to become the first team in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls. The playoffs get underway Saturday. There are 6 first-round games spread over 3 days. You can find all the matchups and a complete schedule in our newsletter today. The Super Bowl will take place in New Orleans next month. And at number 7, a single tuna as heavy as a grizzly bear sold for $1.3 million in Japan. That was the sound of a pre-dawn auction in Tokyo yesterday morning. Hopeful tuna buyers were bidding on a very fancy fish. It's an Oma Pacific bluefin tuna, known to sushi restaurateurs as the black diamond of tuna. Its diet and colder water habitat give the tuna a unique balance of fat that makes it a favored sashimi ingredient. This one was caught on Saturday. It weighed in at 608 pounds. It's one of the most expensive tuna to be sold in the long and delicious history of sushi. It was won at auction by the Onodera Group. That's a chain of Michelin-starred sushi restaurants in Japan. So if you want a taste of the black diamond of tuna, you'd better get a reservation quick at one of its 13 restaurants. All right, you're all caught up. From the Golden Globes to football to that very large tuna, our newsletter is full of delights this morning. As always, the 7 Morning Briefing is where you can find links to all the stories I talk about here on the podcast. And it's totally free. We send it early every weekday morning. You won't regret signing up. Find a link to it, you know where, in our show notes. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'll meet you back here tomorrow.